Hey everybody, I'm Evan, and welcome back to our Top 100 Games of All Time Countdown. This week we are doing 50 through 41, and I'm joined, as usual, by Lizzy.
Hello everybody, how's it going? Thank you for having me on.
Yep, it's a pleasure having you here every time we do this, and I'm going to be sad when it ends.
But then we gotta go back to playing games.
Yeah, that's true. This is cutting into our game playing time. But this is fun too.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, let's not delay. However, I want to mention that I have not one, not two, but three different farming games on this list.
Ooh, so you have the farming theme.
Exciting farming games. Yeah, Ooh. All right. Well, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so my number 50 originally came out in 2012. It had been needing a second edition for years, and this placement is actually the original, because the second edition didn't come out, or I didn't get my hands on it until after I did this list. But the second edition came out in late 2024. It is a Omniverse game. And...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Onirim had all of the second edition, and then it came out with new ones, and then this little one was never given any love. But it's all about balancing the two sides of the towns, the cards. You have some negatives and some positives, and they have to add up to the right numbers, and then you can get rid of them, and you try to get rid of all of them. But the game is called Urbion. And you were able to get a mini expansion from Board Game Geek years ago. And they included that expansion in with the second edition. They updated a little bit of the artwork. Still has that same great feel. But I think it would move up if I had played the second edition before this list.
Really? Okay. But you do have the second edition.
Yes, it's right there.
Okay.
I actually gave up my first edition when I played the second.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. Those are they primarily solitaire games, right?
Yeah, they have a 2-player variant, but they're solo games for me.
Right. Yep. Okay, cool. I've only ever played the original one on the phone, so I've never dipped my toes in those Omniverse, whatever it's
how
called.
I pronounce it. I don't know how it's officially.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really dipped my toes in those, but I know they're well regarded. So,
well, Onirim is probably a little bit better on the app because there is a lot of shuffling with that.
Yes, I realized that when I was playing it. Yeah,
but Urbion is very cute. Very just the base game is a very nice Sunday morning. You just lollying around, playing it, clearing it, and then you can add in the expansions for more flavor.
That's cool. Yep, that sounds good. That sounds fun. Okay, so my number 50 is it covers a series of games, and there's a lot of them, and I guess it's Love Letter, but specifically it's the Archer Once You Go Blackmail Love Letter. I know. I think you and me are the only ones who ever play this game. I never hear anybody else talk about it except you and me.
But this is the one.
This is our go-to one. So, I think everybody knows what Love Letter is. Basically, you have a card, draw a card, play one of those cards. They have little of effects, then you're trying to knock everybody out or have the highest card at the end of the round. And that's pretty much it. And you play a certain number of rounds, and the game's over. So there's a little bit of deduction in there, trying to figure out what is in other people's hands and how you can eliminate them from the round. But we have the Lovecraft Letter one, which is kind of the deluxe one that plays the 6 players. That one's fun, but that one's a little more involved, so we don't play that one as often. And then we have the Adventure Time one, which has some interesting things where if you get certain characters together, you can instant win or get extra points or whatever. But the Archer one I agree, is the best one because of the interaction with the card that comes out of the game. And as far as I know, that's the only one that ever has done that.
As far as I know, too.
Yeah, right. And so there's something about that where you can swap the out card or peek at it or try to guess it. And I don't know, that's fun. It adds a little tweak that's highly enjoyable. And honestly, I've never seen the cartoon I don't even know what it is.
It's interesting. Because of the game, I tried watching the TV series or cartoon.
Okay, I never have.
It's about a dude that is very not good at his job, but then somehow always does well.
Okay, sure.
It's
whatever.
A lot of guns and shooting up and some adults-themed content.
Yeah. But you know what? It doesn't even matter. Usually, I'm a theme person, and the specific theme on this, because I like Adventure Time and I like Cthulhu stuff, and I don't care about this cartoon, and that's the best one.
Yeah.
So that says something for how good that was.
Exactly. The mechanisms itself make it.
Yes. Yep. And it's a lot of time. It's like after we're done playing a big game, we got a little bit of time left, and that's usually what comes out. And we laugh, and then we go to bed. So, yeah. All right. That's my number 50 love letter, specifically Archer. Once you go blackmail.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
I did not write down the year this came out.
Oh no. Put it in the comments.
Yes. So this game is like a Midwestern themed. The theme doesn't really matter. You will put one of your tokens out. It's a 2-player only. You'll put a token, your player piece out. Another person will put theirs, and it'll block that row or column. And then you'll place 3 out, and where your 3 intersect is what you get in the middle. And you also have actions where, so you'll put your pawn on this action, you get to do that action. And then where the pawns intersect is the cards that you get to take.
Okay.
You manage some resources that you can buy stuff, and you make a grid. We played it together.
Okay, it's just the way you're... Okay, yeah, I know what it is.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so it's called Targi. So, any idea when that came out? I'm going to say 2015.
Maybe even before that, because I feel like it's been around for a long time.
It's definitely a good game. But I do love the tension of I'm going to here because I really want that spot right there. And then you place your person on that row, and I'm going,
no.
But there is that one where you can just take it from anywhere. That one power.
Yep. Yeah, right. But then you give up a resource that you could have got if you put it on.
Yeah.
Of resource, but you got to do it sometimes.
Sometimes, and it's just like, no, I have to do that now.
That's funny. I don't know, the way you were describing that at first, I'm like, wait a minute, is this what I think it is? I'm not so sure here.
I was like, please don't let me think I'm thinking the wrong game.
No, it's just, I don't know, it wasn't clicking. But Targi is a great game.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Stay tuned, I guess.
Ooh, exciting.
All right, well, excellent pick. So, my number 49 is a second edition of Great Western Trail. So, this is a heavier sort of game, but honestly, I don't think it's that difficult to play once you know how to play it. Basically, you are running cattle from... Kansas City, or to Kansas City from wherever your farm is, I guess. So there's a kind of a map, and you're traveling there, and there's a little bit of deck building because you're getting cows and you're getting them into your deck. And ideally, by the time you get to the end, you want to have different cows because you're only going to score for every different cow that's in your hand.
Oh.
But then along the way, you're hiring engineers to move your little train, or cowboys to help you get more cows. And whatever the other one is. And then there's, you're building buildings, so every time a building is built, that's another space that has to be, counted when you're stopping. So as the game goes on, it gets harder to get from one side to the other.
Gotcha.
Which is interesting. So you're always, your opponents are always trying to drop buildings in there that you have to pay for along the paths that you are going on. So there are a lot of multiple paths, but if you make a certain path that's more efficient, more expensive, then you got to pay them. Yeah. So I've never played the first edition. I think they tweaked a little things between the second edition, and the art is definitely a lot better. So.
Well, you've gotten me interested in playing it.
I think you would like it. It's really fun. I have a good time with it. It is. I was kind of late to get on the Great Western Trail because it had been out for a long time. Then the second edition came out, and then I only recently got it within the last 2 years, probably. So,
Ooh, so this is a relatively new love for you.
Relatively, yeah. But it's great. It's a great game. And I see why people, hold it in such high regard now, because it's fun. So, yeah, that's my number 49, Great Western Trail, specifically second edition.
Okay, awesome. Well, my 48 came out in 2011. It is a hidden movement game with a Jack the Ripper theme. Okay. And when I think of Jack the Ripper hidden movement, this is the one I think of first.
Okay.
So you play either as Jack the Ripper, who's going around taking out the wretched.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Or you play as police officers doing the right thing and trying to catch this murdering, psychopath.
Yes.
So, do you know what it is?
It's, see, now I'm confused with the one that you had earlier on your list. This one is called, because that was Whitehall Mysteries, right? This one is, right? Is that right? This one is Letters from Whitechapel.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they're very the names similar.
Yeah, and the names are similar too. Yeah. But, yep.
So, this one, I definitely like. I think it's the Deer Boss expansion, I think is what it's called. But it gives you specific hideouts, because when you play base Letters from Whitechapel, you can play where your final night is right around the corner from your home. Okay. So you could just get there in one move and you win the game. And that just... Okay. This one, it kind of tells you, okay, you have to kill in this region. And then your home's in this region, and it tells you every night. So I like that. Other people are like, oh, that's too structured. But I personally like the challenge of being, like, going kind of close to home and then going further away. Because thematically, they generally start close to home and then expand out. The more bold they get.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. And if I'm going to be that person, I'm going to play thematically.
Perfect. This came out, what did you say, 2011?
2011.
Oh,
yep,
my cat friend. That's one of the, like, original sort of hidden movement type games, right? This one goes, one of the first ones.
Yes. Cool. It's one that really, for me, made the genre.
Cool. Okay. And you've had a lot of hidden movement games on your list.
Yes, I do love hidden movement.
Hidden movement / deduction type games, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite mechanisms.
Cool. Yeah, I can tell. All right. And I bet more to come, but we'll talk about that later.
Maybe. We'll see.
All right. So my number 48 is the opposite of a big, heavy Euro game, and this is a 2-player trick-taking game called Claim.
Oh.
So there's a bunch of claims. There's all kinds of them, but we have Claim 1 and Claim 2. We usually just end up playing Claim 1. I think we have a couple of promos for each one. But it's a trick-taking game where you get a hand of cards, and then you split it between hands of cards and a deck, and then you play a trick-taking game. So it's like all fantasy-themed, like knights and goblins and dwarves and zombies and stuff like that, right? They'll have little tiny powers, and then there's 2 phases to the game. So in the first phase, you're just playing a trick-taking game, generally higher number, you have to follow suit, higher number beats the next higher number, beats the lower number. And then the winner gets a card. The winner gets a card, and then the loser gets the top card off of the deck. And then you take those and you play a trick-taking game again, and then those then go to your score pile. So, the first half, you're getting cards to play for the second half. So, maybe that doesn't make sense. So, I don't know. It works really well. There's little tweaks where, knights always beat a goblin, so if you have to play off suit, because you don't have a goblin, a knight is always going to beat that. Sometimes the card that is up for grabs because you flip one over, like, and that's the card that you're playing for. So sometimes it's a bad card, so you do want to lose the trick.
Oh,
that sort of thing.
That's cool.
But it plays really quick. It's pretty simple. I think there's 13 cards, so like 13 hands twice, I guess. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's one of those that we keep in the car, bring to restaurants. You know, you can kind of play if there's just the two of us. You know.
Yeah, it does sound very intriguing.
And the art is really cool too. It's fantasy, but it's it's detailed and it's like humorous kind of. So, and like the 0 goblin is a lot weaker looking than like the 10 goblin. You know, like a little puny goblin versus a big goblin king or whatever. So they kind of ascend as
that is cool.
as the power of the card ascends. Yeah, it's cool. But yeah, that's my number 48 claim.
Awesome. Let me move my list real quick. Sorry. So my number 47 came out in 2017. It is an abstract card where you're trying to, an abstract game where you're either trying to match the birds to make them be next to birds of the same type, as well as you're trying to match the flowers from your perspective, because the more flowers in a row, the more points you get at the end of the game. There's some koi fish that you can put out that's also kind of like wildish. It's really pretty. It has like these not ceramic, but like nice chunky tiles that you pull out of a bag, you can put out. And
okay,
it's called Seikatsu.
Okay, I've never played that. I'm not that familiar with that either.
Yes,
Okay,
it is actually the most unknown of the series or of this section.
Okay.
So, but it's stunningly beautiful, and it can be played up to 3 players.
Okay,
I think there's a solo version, but I love playing it at that full 3 players because everyone has their own perspective of looking in, and then you're just matching the birds, matching the flowers, but you it's like, okay, this bird would give me perfect, like, a lot of points right now, but then at the end of the game it would mess up with my flowers. So do you really want to play it, especially if it helps them with their flowers? So that kind of balance. So,
okay, yeah, that sounds cool. I'd play that. That sounds like something I would like.
Yeah, it's stunningly beautiful. Great components.
Cool.
So it's one I think you would enjoy too.
Cool. Maybe someday. All right. So my number 47 is my first farming game on this list.
Oh, Granddresser Trails wasn't a farming game?
I don't think so. Would you consider cow rustling a farming game? I guess they're farmers,
you did
but
talk
I think
about a farm in your description.
Yeah, I think more of like farming is in like planting and growing crops. How about that?
Okay.
like that. That's just farming to me.
Okay, so a subset of farming is farming.
So if you count Great Western Trail, then there's 4 on my list. But I don't quite count that.
Okay, good to know.
So anyway, the game is called Riverboat. So you wouldn't guess it was a farming game by the title. But so this is a game where you're planting crops and harvesting crops and shipping them off on the riverboat. I think it's supposed to take place in like Mississippi or whatever. That's why it's a riverboat. So there are a lot of different ways to score points in this game. So without going into too much detail, what I like about it is the action drafting. Okay, so there's 5 phases of every turn, and everyone does those. But before you start that, you draft the tile with those actions on them, and then whoever gets those gets to do that action first and gets a little bonus. So the first phase, I'm going to go through these phases. The first phase is you place your workers into your farm. And then you, so you draw, there's like a deck of cards. So you draw and it tells you where to put those workers. Like what type of terrain or whatever to put those workers on. It's kind of separated by color on your little map or your little farm board.
Okay.
Then the second phase is you draft these like polyomino hex type tiles to put on underneath those workers. So like the workers are working the field, and then they're planting the crops. And then the next phase is you can pull those workers off, which is harvesting them, and then you use however many of the same type to ship them off on a riverboat, which you then like get a riverboat tile that kind of goes on your like on the top of your board.
Okay.
Then the next phase, Then the next phase is like you can draft a scoring card, like an in-game type scoring card, or actually it's not in-game type scoring card, but it's a scoring card. And then the last phase is you have these other workers that are called surveyors, and then you can spend those surveyors to activate those scoring cards. So sometimes the longer you wait on those, and the more surveyors you have, the better those scoring cards get. But you can only do so many per round, so you kind of have to figure which ones you want to do early and which ones you want to try to build towards. But then you don't want to get stuck with too many scoring cards you can't do anything with.
Makes sense.
And that's the gist of the game. I know that was kind of a convoluted explanation, but
it
flows really well. And it's, like I said, it's that action drafting that's really fun, because like, do I want to be able to do this first before anybody else so I get the tile I want? Or, that sort of thing. And then there's little bonuses. There's like a harbor master that kind of goes around your board, and the farther you can get him, the more points you're going to score at the end of the game. So you're constantly trying to get him moving around your little dock area. It's really fun. I feel like it's kind of an underappreciated, underlooked game. When I was looking at it earlier, it came out in 2017, but it kind of looks like a much older game. It kind of has that look like it's been around a long time. I guess 2017 was a number of years ago now, but
a little bit.
Time flies. All right, but anyway, that's my number 47, Riverboat. I know it was one of those games that was like clearanced everywhere. Like Miniature Market had hundreds of copies, and they were dirt cheap for a while. And I think that's how I ended up getting it, and I really liked it. So.
Sometimes those are the best games.
Yeah, it's just I think they printed too many, and nobody really paid attention. But it's a really fun game.
Well, awesome.
So yeah, 47.
Definitely sounds interesting.
Riverboat. It's fun.
Okay. So my 46 came out in 2021. It actually was developed during the pandemic for a way to people play games remotely.
Okay.
So it's a roll and write game, which is the simplest ones to play remotely because they're set up for kind of that type of play where you can play just your own game and then at the end compare. Mm-hmm. So it's all the realms.
A lot of realms.
Yes. Each realm is its own game.
Mm-hmm.
Or based on a game. So it might be based on Tapestry. It might be based on Finspan or Apiary or Wingspan. And you definitely know the name of the game. I've accidentally said the last one. So it's Rolling Realms.
It's there. Yeah. Yep.
So this is actually one that Stonemeyer, when we first started the channel, Stonemeyer was like, "Oh, you guys talk about playing remotely games. I'd be really interested in your opinion on this game." And I'm not one for roll and writes. It's my least favorite. Well, not my absolute least favorite mechanism, but it's one of my least favorite. But I really enjoyed this game simply because it's just quick, easy. Like all the realms are different. They all play different, so you get a little bit of a feel. Now, I'm not gonna say if I play like a Tapestry one, I'm going to want to go buy Tapestry based on that realm.
No,
but it does like. I've played Tapestry, and since I've played Tapestry, I'm like, oh, that's why it's like that. And
you can. There's a little loose connection. You can kind of feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that is kind of really cool. It brings out the memories of the games that their namesake is. So I really like it for that reason. And then the chill, they have like a mini golf. Solitaire.
Yes. Yep.
I really like that because it's challenges based on these are the 3 realms you do. This is the challenge that you have to beat. So I really like that. And it is infinitely scalable. You might have some similar, but if everyone can get one of those cards, then they could play it with you.
So do you have every realm for this? Every realm?
Every realm that I could possibly get my hands on, I have, yeah. And then actually, Stonemaier did a super fans gift. They actually sent the email out on my anniversary, which is super cool.
Oh.
But so I'm like, oh, that's kind of, I'm going to get a little cool something, maybe promo card or something. No, they sent me Tokaido and the Tokaido Rolling Realms expansion.
Oh, wow. For free. Why? Nice, because we just talked about that on our last video.
Yeah. So, yes, I'm going to be able to play Tokaido, and I have that Rolling Realm. So I even have that Rolling Realm.
That's awesome. Ones that aren't even out yet. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be coming out soon.
Yeah, real soon.
So, I thought that was really cool. Nice little way to say thank you for buying a ton of games from us.
Yeah, thank you for sending us all your money.
Yeah.
That's cool. So here's the thing. This game did not make my top 150. It is not on my list. And I think even though I do have it, and I do have a lot of realms, because, here's another pack. I'll buy a handful of them,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think I play it enough to really appreciate it. Even though I've been mildly collecting it, I do like roll and writes, but I think there's just other roll and writes that I go to before that for whatever reason. I probably need to play it more.
I agree, totally.
Maybe we should work on that.
Most definitely, we can play it remotely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a design. Yeah. All right. But cool. That's a good pick. I appreciate that game. It's just not in my top games yet.
Yet being the key word?
Because you never know.
Exactly.
Okay, so my number 46 is another farming game.
Oh no!
This is, like you said with your Urbion, this is a solo player game that has a 2-player variant. And I've never played that 2-player variant. And this is the one with the most disturbing art in probably any game ever. And that is Mr. Cabbage Head's Garden.
Mr. Cabbage Head?
Garden, yes. Garden. So what this is what the designer did is he took these old seed packet art that has these vegetable people in it, and he adapted that art into this game. So every vegetable is a person, but you're also growing vegetables, so that aren't people. So you can take that as you will, but I don't know. So basically, what you're doing is I have the playmat, but you don't need the playmat. So there's a grid that you're planting vegetables in, and they all kind of and then there's a bunch of once the game is over, there's scoring conditions for all the corners are filled, or there's rows and that sort of thing. So, but what you do is you have these bees that are kind of your currency, and you flip over a certain number of cards. And the one in the I think it's 3. So the center one costs 0 bees. The one on the right costs 1 bee, and the one on the left you get a bee back. So you can't take it if you don't have any bees that have been spent. That sort of thing. I may have got that backwards, but so then you draft that card and you put it in your garden. So they have point values on it, and then however they have a I don't know what they call it, but there's another number on it that has a neighbor number on it. So you play with a certain number of nosy neighbors, because as you're planting your garden, there are nosy neighbors peeking over your fence, seeing what you're doing. So you pull tokens out of the bag, and then kind of at certain points during the game, Mr. Cabbage Head has to take a vacation. And then when that happens, you look at all the tokens that you've pulled, and that neighbor enters your garden and tries to steal your vegetables. So sometimes each neighbor will specifically say what type, what they will steal. So you can kind of try to manipulate that to not make it so they will steal what you have in the garden. You know what I mean? So however, if they're all tied, if all the token numbers are tied, the neighbors thematically they run into each other, and so they don't have time to look over your fence because they're just chatting it up right outside your fence. So, and then they steal nothing. So you can kind of try to manipulate it so that, okay, so if I pull 2 tokens and they're the right 2 tokens, then they're all going to be tied and nobody's going to steal my vegetables.
Nice.
Have you never seen this game?
You've talked about it before, and I
Okay,
get really
I probably
interested
have.
every time.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite kind of like solo games that is easy to set up and play, and I can play a bunch of times in a row. It's hard to get a really good score because sometimes the scoring conditions are conflicting. You want to try to get the best ones. It's not always possible, you know. But obviously there'll be some art here on the screen, and you'll see how bizarre these characters look. Because I know some people are off-put by it, but I think it's funny.
Yeah, it sounds so interesting. You're definitely full supporter. What's where like you're the one that like calls out into the wild saying, "Play this game."
Yeah, right. Now there's been like multiple Kickstarters, so they've reprinted it a couple times because I know there's other people like it goes in and out of print all the time. I don't know the status of it now, but and there's been like little promo expansions for for like different neighbors. I always just kind of shuffle them up and pick 3 at random or whatever. But it's a good time. That's my 46, Mr. Cabbage Head's Garden.
Sounds very intriguing.
It's so weird.
Okay, so my 45 came out in 2010. This is a little bit older. It is a Las Vegas themed game where you are building up your casino. And you roll dice for kind of majority because you could be the holder of the casino majority, but someone else could have like a minority in it because they have the same color right next to you. And if it's all the same color, it's one casino. Whoever holds the majority when that color gets pulled, basically you get the victory points for it, while everyone else just gets the number of cash on their pips, which you then use to build up other casinos, try to force re-roll to try to take majority of that casino because it might be a really good one. It is called Lords of Vegas.
Okay.
And it's just one that I've loved pulling out. It's like you can play it if you're slightly tipsy. So like if I'm my Jerome's friends, we've played it with them on like a heavy drinking night for them. So at the beginning of the night we can pull this out, and they are having a lot of fun with it. It gets everyone talking, and then the Vegas, the strip, will score, and it'll be like, and then it will like score for the end of game, and it's like, oh no, it's over. But it's just, it's fun. Really cool, like, not exactly take that, but like, you can change the color of your casino. If you're in control, you can change the color to either that to make it to one that is more likely to come out, or you could do it to take control of someone else's casino, because if you have a 6 dice, you are in control versus they might have a 5 dice, and so then you get control. You used to have only like a 2, but now all of a sudden you have a 5 that you control, a 5 square.
Okay. So basically you're like mob bosses running these casinos.
Exactly.
More or less.
You're trying to build your casino up, and there is an expansion called Up where you can then make them layered. Oh. So it makes it nicer for higher player counts.
Okay.
But like you're building up your casino and you're trying to get the most money, the most victory points. There's been one time that I don't know who won, but they won by getting to the very last you win spot. And like, in order to go up, you have to, like, some of them you have to go up by at least 2 to pass this point. And it's like you have to go up at least 6 to pass this point. And so it gets harder because you have to have these really big casinos. But if you're just all by yourself, you're not as likely to get them, because the way you determine where you go is you draw a card, and it's where you can put your token at. And then you can from there build up into casinos. So it's luck of the draw as to where you even get to place. So it's not always, oh, well, I'm just going to build up in this section because no one else is interacting with me. Well, you can expand out, but then you have to pay ridiculous price for that real estate. Versus if you have your, little token there, it's just normal price. So it's really fun, though. I love it.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds fun. It sounds like a fun time. Like a rollicking good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, I've never played it, obviously, but, that's cool. All right. So my number 45 was a game that was further down your list.
Ooh.
And that is Tales of the Arabian Nights. You know what? This was on my list last time. This was the only one that was on my list last time, and it was number 12.
Oh, so pretty solid job.
But there's no real reason, because I still really, really like this game. It's just there's other games that have moved up, I guess, at this point. Yeah, I mean, we already talked about it in a previous video. It's basically you have a character in like the Arabian Nights setting, and you're going off and having a bizarre adventure, like a bizarre, nonsensical adventure, and that's what makes it fun.
Agreed.
There's that giant book of tales, and you just never know what's going to happen. Even when you think you know what's going to happen, and you think you're making the right decision, it probably isn't going to be. So it's one of those games where you can't take it too seriously because you can't play it as a game. You kind of just have to play it as a unfolding story.
Yes.
And so, I guess we've covered that, so might as well not drag that one out. But number 45 is Tales of the Arabian Nights. I do think I've only played Arthurian Nights once, and I think I do prefer kind of the craziness of Arabian Nights better at this point.
Oh.
But time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah. And you can ask... Grayson's the one that was really excited about Arthurian Nights, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That was that his number one game of last year? I think that was his number one game of 2024. So, yeah.
Very exciting. Regardless of which one you play, it's still a really good story.
It is. It is. Yep. I agree.
Okay, so my 44 came out in 2019. My specific version, it's one that it has the original, and then it has spin-off versions of it with just different themes. They're now making it so that you can play them together. But it's a cooperative game where you play a character and you try to fight against baddies. And you try to help bystanders to where they want to go. And each one of the baddies has their own sort of mechanism for defeating them. So one you need a whole lot of blue tiles, and you just go and you deliver them and you defeat them. While another one you have to go and you roll dice, and they have to be in specific certain dice rolls to be able to match the spaces, and you get enough of those knocked off and you get to defeat that one. Do you know which one it is?
Yes, yeah. But I don't know specifically which one. Or is it all of them?
So it's Horrified.
Yes.
But my favorite is the Greek Monsters one.
Okay, cool. That's one of the... Okay, yeah, okay. That's a newer one. Right?
Yeah. So I'm wondering if the 2019 is the Horrified or if that's the Greek one. I'm not quite sure which one that is. But the reason why I like the Greek one is just because I love, that sort of mythology. And it brings that out. So, but I've gotten all of them now.
Okay.
And they're definitely different feels, but really fun nonetheless.
So you would think this was a game that I had played before.
Yeah, it's a Halloween special.
Especially that movie monster one, the Universal monster one, the first one. But I have never actually played any of those. I don't know. It's a blind spot for me. Because it seems like something I'd be playing all the time.
Yeah, it seems like something you would play every October.
I know, but I just haven't. So the new one coming out is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
You saw that, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
maybe
not
we'll grab
as
that one.
Thrilled about that. Not that theme is just not for me, but I mean, I'm gonna get it.
But Grayson has been playing Dungeons and Dragons with his friends, so
So are you finally
maybe.
going to get one?
Maybe. I'm thinking about it.
Ooh.
I'm strongly considering it.
Well, I mean, I'm going to get it, so if you get it, then we can play together.
Okay, that's another consideration. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
totally.
All right. Yeah, that's just one of those things that just has passed me by, and for whatever reason, haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of games on your list, and I'm like, oh, that sounds so good. I want to try it.
Yeah.
And just haven't.
Yeah, I know.
There's only
Yep.
so many hours in a day.
And not enough. Yeah, not enough for games.
Not enough for everything.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of hours for work. I need more game hours than work hours. All right. So anyway, so my number 44 is a deduction, not really a social deduction type game, and that is called Detective Club. So this uses the same type of cards that you would find in something like Dixit or Mysterium, where it's really strange art, like with all sorts of weird things on it. So what you do is everyone gets a couple of cards in their hand, and one person has a has notepads. So you write a specific word that could possibly relate to both of your cards on all but one of those notepads, and then you pass them out to the other players. So all but one of the players knows what the secret word is.
Okay.
So, and then in turn you play a card in front of you that relates to that word. So, but one person doesn't know what that word is.
So you're
so
trying to play a card that's similar to others, but
Yes, but sometimes there's multiple elements on those cards. So like maybe they're, so you don't always know. So, and after two cards have been played, then then the person has to try to guess. Well, everyone has to try to guess who didn't know what the word was. And then you can sort of I think there's a phase where you talk about like what it is. So you can make assumptions. You can try to convince people that of course I knew what this was. Here, your secret word was red, and there's red on both of these cards. Whether or not you knew that at the time, you could suss that out, but you can kind of bluff your way through that. And I think as far as like Dixit and Mysterium type games, this is definitely my favorite. There's a really hard to find expansion that I got too, which I'm really glad I found, because I don't think it was even released in America. Like I had to import it from Canada, for whatever, So I'm glad I have that too. But it's a really fun game if you're looking for that sort of like weird art, trying to suss out who the not traitor is, but who the person who doesn't know all the information is. And sometimes, you can bluff your way through it great. It just happened to. But then there's other times where you have no cards in your hand that relate to the word. And then you're stuck. So you have to play something that doesn't match, and then you have to try to talk your way like, no, I did know the word because
I just didn't
have the cards. And but
Oh, that sounds so interesting.
it's really fun. And it plays a bunch of players, but it plays a higher player count. So like a party-ish type of game. So
Okay.
If you're interested in that, this is one that's highly recommended, like that type of game.
Most definitely. What was it called again?
My number 44, Detective Club.
Detective Club, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
A weird name, but for that game, but yeah. It's
Definitely want to try that one.
cool. We have it.
Exactly. So my next one came out in 2013. And this has been described as Gamers Bingo. It does have a re-theme of a Magic one, but I like this one better because the Magic one loses there's a number that if you get Bingo at the same time, then it tells you what order you resolve in, versus Via Magica, which is the magical themed one, doesn't have that, and it just misses it. But it's called Rise of Augustus. So when you get Bingo, you yell out, Ave Caesar! And then you get to get a new card. And you also are trying to, there's different regions. So if you get, 3 of the orange region, you then get to pick up the orange region one. And then there's also like how many you complete. So like if you complete 6, you can then take the 6 one, which is worth 10 points. It's a lot of points. But if someone beats you to 6, you then can't go, okay, well, when I complete my 6th one, I'll just take the 5. No. You can take that one when you complete it, and that's it. So like if you're waiting for that 6, but you think someone else might get it, then you might take that. Oh, I've completed 5. Yeah, let me go ahead and take this one. So that is really fun. And once you complete 7, it's done, and then you add up your points, and it's gamer bingo.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a game I really want to play. Like this is a game I've wanted to play for years. But and there was one time we were in a board game cafe and we had it in our hands, but we just did not have enough time. Like I put it back on the shelf, and like is it hard to find? Is it out of print? Because I really never see it anywhere.
I don't know,
like, ever.
Especially with Via Magica kind of being its replacement.
It's probably impossible to find unless you find a used copy.
Possibly.
This is something I really, 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 really want to play this game.
Okay,
like,
I'm making
really
a note. This is I'm bringing it to Grand Con, so.
Yeah, it's one of those games. I mean, we can check the library too, see if they have it in there.
Yeah, but worst case scenario, it'll be in my luggage, and we will be playing it.
One of those games that I've just always heard about and always wanted to play and just never come across it at the right time. Because it sounds fun. I like that bingo mechanism, just like Karuba kind of in the last list, you know.
Yeah, and what is that other animal-themed one that's with tiles and like you're putting animals out on an island? Oh, what is that?
I'm not sure.
Eco's First Continents, is that it?
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I never played that one either.
Oh.
I hear good things about that one too, but never played that one.
Yeah, that one's not as pure. Like, this one's not pure bingo, but it's not. Like, Eco's just adds a little bit extra fluff that's.
Sure.
This is gamers bingo.
Yes, yep. That sounds fun to me. Hopefully one day.
It's gonna happen.
Okay, cool. Good. All right, so my number 43 is specifically the deluxe edition of this game. I've never played the original edition, but the deluxe edition is huge and beautiful, and that is Rococo second edition. Or deluxe edition, I guess it's called. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is a game about making dresses and selling those dresses or getting them to the famous people that are attending the ball, and then they're wearing your dress. There's a lot of little things in this game that I like, right? So there's a little bit of deck building where you get like different like tailors and master sewers and all that stuff. You get a little tiny bit of deck building. There's a tiny bit of like area control when you're trying to get your dresses into the different like ballrooms that are in this, I don't know, castle, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's castle.
There's a little bit of like recipe fulfillment type of thing where you got to get the threads in the right colored material to make dresses. And I don't know, just all of those things work so well together. It's fun to try to get those good dresses and get them to the top of the ballroom so they can go see the fireworks when the ball is over, you know. And then you're trying to get as many of yours in those halls to try to score the most points because everyone in this hall is wearing your dress. That's fantastic, you know, and you're getting noticed as a tailor. Yeah, and that deluxe edition is just amazing. Like, the art is so good. The component quality is so good. Like, it's very, very impressive. As far as I understand, like, if you don't want to spend that money for that one, find the old one. It's still the same great game.
Yes, I have the old one. I didn't upgrade when the new one came out.
Okay.
But great gameplay. But yeah, whenever I see the deluxe one,
it's so nice. It's so nice.
Oh, and it's right behind your ear.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have the expansion?
The jewelry box one? No,
Yeah.
I've been wanting to get that one.
It comes in there, and we've honestly never played with it. We just only have ever played the base game.
Oh, I have played with it once because I was at a game night, and that person had... It's just a little added in.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're making jewelry for the people wearing your dresses.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
but it adds that little bit of extra to the game that just, like, ups it. So it's like, if I could ever get my hands on that, I would. I'm like, I might just go to get the deluxe, because that would probably be cheaper than getting the expansion for the original.
I don't know. If you get the... Because I have, like, the super deluxe one that comes with, like, the metal coins, and, like, there's a couple of extra things that were not in the retail version of the deluxe version that I got. So I have, like, the maxed out version, which was not cheap.
Yeah, it's...
But worth it. Worth it, because it's a fantastic game.
It is. It's a very great game.
So that's my number 43, Rococo, specifically the deluxe edition.
So my 42 came out in 2021. It's actually another Stonemaier game.
Okay.
So this one is based on a book IP. And I was like, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and try reading this book, because I'm not sure if I want to buy this. This was before I was buying every Stonemaier game ever. Fell in love with the book. So I've now read all 6 of the books, and as soon as the 7 ones come out, I'm getting it. But absolutely love it. Now, you don't need to know the book lore to play the game.
But it helps.
It helps when... that's why when those two are together, it's more points at the end. So this game is like a hand building game. You're trying to get the right combination of cards, while you're also trying to get helium from the center. You're trying to get your fleet up, and you're trying to get kind of like majority in the academy. So it's called Red Rising. And it is absolutely phenomenal. The collector's edition has like gold foil on the gold cards.
Fancy.
And it's a class-based game where like the reds are the lowest of the class and the golds are the highest of the class. So their abilities really match the characters. And it's really thematic, but then they also, like, you can tell, it's like some of the greens and blues are kind of like Blue Pilot or something like that. It's very generic names versus some, like, their names from the books. It's like you get to see this character brought to life and be like, that's not quite what I saw in my head, but I really like that picture of them. And so now when I reread the book, I'm seeing those images, and it's just
that's cool.
A lot of fun. I really enjoy it, really love the theme. And it is confirmed for sure that the reason why 7 is so prevalent is because there were 7 houses. That is sarcasm. It actually was because game mechanism. But when I asked Jamie about it, like, is that the reason why? Would have been so easy to be like, oh yeah, dramatic. But no, it was gameplay. But I like to say it because, you know, it's kind of cool.
That's cool. That's cool that the game brought you into a book series. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're not the only one that's done that. So,
yeah, it's definitely.
I've never played this. I like the idea of this. I actually do own a copy of the game that this was based on, and I've never played that either. So, Fantasy Realms.
Yes,
I have a copy of Fantasy Realms that I got cheap. I just haven't.
It's a really good game.
Yeah, I like the concept. It sounds like a fun idea where you're trying to get specific cards in your hand that combo off each other, basically, right?
Yeah. And, like, when you lay them down, you gotta do certain things. Like, I don't know if that is... I think that's just, Red Rising. I think, sorry.
Fantasy Realms?
With Fantasy Realms, I think they're mainly... when you just lay them... I don't know if, like, when you lay them down they have powers, or if it's just at the end of the game they have powers.
I think it might just be end of the game, but I haven't even read the rule book, so...
Yeah. We can change that.
One day. Yeah. But that's cool. I'm glad you like that game. I know... I don't think everybody liked that game, but...
It definitely had some mixed reviews.
Yeah, but... Hey, cool. Glad you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so, 42? We're on 42, right? All right. So earlier on an earlier list, you asked why Downfall of Pompeii was so low, and this is a similar game in feel, and I do like this one better. and this is Survive Escape from Atlantis.
Ah, yes.
See, they feel very similar to me. Like, even though they're not, I don't know, just the vibes are the same to me. But this is the one where there's an island. You're kind of cooperatively building this island before the game starts, and then you put your people on this island, and then the game starts, and the island starts sinking.
Yes.
This is an old game. This game's been around forever. So yeah, every turn you gotta try to move your people onto boats, move those boats onto like the safe islands, but there's sharks in the water. There's a sea monster in the water. There's whales that can crash into your boat. Our edition has like the octopuses and the dolphins too that can kind of snatch you off the land or help you like go farther if you're swimming, that sort of thing. And it's not a friendly game.
No, it's not.
Not at all. But it's like Downfall of Pompeii. It feels light enough and like lighthearted enough that it doesn't matter. Like, okay, wow, that sea monster just ate 3 of my people. You know what that means? That sea monster's coming after you next time.
Exactly.
That sort of thing. So
go against their boat.
Yeah. So even if I do horrible and like have a bad score, I always have a fun time. The fun part is there's numbers on the bottom of all your people, and you can try to remember which ones are gonna like score more, but I instantly forget every single time. I'm like, I think that might be my 5 that I got off the island, and it turned out it was a 1. You know, but
Yeah.
you're just fighting for that survival, and it's a lot of fun. It's always a fun time. I know there's a new version of that. Did you see that? It's just called, I think it's just called Escape the Island.
Oh yeah, I saw that there was a re-theme, or not re-theme, but a re-printing of it, and I haven't looked much into it.
Well, I looked at it a little bit, and the funny thing is it adds a kaiju that's walking around the island too. So, so there's a little Godzilla guy. What? Yeah, but I'm not going to rebuy it. I think I like this classic version better.
Yeah. Well, there is a space version too.
Oh yeah, you're right. There is.
Outer space or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I kept
like
the Atlantis themed one.
Yeah. Yep. This one's always fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 42. Survive, Escape from Atlantis.
Have you ever played where the variants where just each one is just worth 1 regardless?
Oh no, that's not fun. You always gotta. No.
I'm like, because some people are like, oh well, I can't remember, and it just ruins the game.
Oh, well.
Because I'm like, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but definitely love that one too. I don't think it's coming up. I don't think so. But awesome game nonetheless.
Yep.
So my number 41 came out in 2017. This is one that it's a hand management type of game, but also resource management. So you'll play a card and it'll either be get resources or upgrade resources. And then once you have played all the cards you want, you can then play a card that gets you all your cards back, and then you can put them back. Or resting, I think, is when you just... I don't think it's an actual card. I think you just rest and bring it back. But you have to spend a turn to get all the cards back, and then you can put them out. And you're trying to build up your resources to be able to turn them in for the point scoring cards. And it's just a really nice family game where you can do this. Now, I do have the spiced version. There was a spiced version, and then they came out with the Gollum version, and then they're like, oh, we're not going to do the series in the Gollum version. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm definitely going to get the spiced version then. I'm just going to go all for spice. So it's a Century Spice Road.
The boring version. Yeah.
But then I got the Gollum edition, and it's really pretty with gems. But I'm like, well, I'm not going to, and then by the time they started announcing the Gollum one, I had all the spice ones, and I'm just going to stick with spice.
Yeah.
But Brooks in New York really liked the Gollum one, so I gave that one to him. And then, what is kind of a little bit of a burn, they came out with like a storage box, and then there's like a few cards that are in that box only, which is annoying. But I'm fine with my 3 boxes doing that panorama picture, which is really cute. And like each one in the series does the game differently, but my favorite one is that original Century Spice Road.
That's cool. I know. So I played this game once at a game night. And it was probably, I don't know, around the time it came out, right? So Grayson was a little bit younger. Not that he was less good at games, but like the person who taught it to us just destroyed us.
Oh.
Like we were just learning the game, and he didn't go easy on us at all. Like, you know, we were kind of like, okay,
like you are going to learn this game.
Yeah, right. And then so it wasn't necessarily the best experience. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we did bad and lost. But
and that kind of turned you off of.
Kind of. Then but I wanted to get the Golem one, right? Because like that's the theme. But you know, I don't know. I just never did. There's another game that it has similar mechanisms that I may enjoy a little bit more. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But,
okay.
That's cool. It's a solid game.
Unfortunately, it was a miss for you just from that first.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I can understand. Gamers can be our own worst enemies, right?
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. But it's a really cute artwork. They do a lot of the same artwork in it, but it's just this thematic spice selling.
Yeah.
Trading in the Mediterranean type of theme, but really good
Yeah.
gameplay for me.
Yeah, good. All right. That's high on your list, too. That's 41.
Yes.
So, yeah, okay. All right. So, my number 41 makes me sad. This is my my last farming game on this list. I did not own this game in 2018, though I think it was probably out. I probably got it maybe a little bit after that. So in between 2018 and 2024, 2025, I was definitely considering this like a top 5 game. But after the Pub Maple thing came down, it ended up at 41. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. But then we hadn't really played it in a while. I know I'm taking a long time to get to the title here, but there was an issue with Board Game Geek Up bits taking a really long time. So I kept waiting for those to come out and waiting, to the fact that I had cannibalized some of the pieces and put them in a different game. Because it has these little star-shaped victory points in a different game. Didn't seem to have enough, so I just pulled them out of there. I'm like, oh, we're getting the Geek Up bits, so of course I can just pull these out of here. But that game is called Fields of Green.
Okay.
And I don't know why this is so low. It is just criminally low. And in fact, since I've made this list, we have played it, and this is going to be corrected in the future.
Okay.
Because this should not be 41. Because this is a drafting and engine building game. And I feel like it should be my favorite engine building game. So basically there's different types of farming. There's like crops and animals and buildings. And you draft those. Like draft a hand of those. Or you take a hand of those. And then you keep one, pass, that sort of thing. Where one type of thing generates... crops generate food, animals generate money, and then there's also a water resource, and you have to kind of, build an engine that all of those things work together, so that because then you kind of run your farm at the end once you've placed all of your cards, built out your little farm, and there's 4 rounds I think. So this crop grows, this crop triggers, and I use that to feed this animal, and then you use that for this money, and I use this money to, it's that type of game where you can do it in any order you want, so you have to kind of figure out this perfect engine so that you have an efficient farm. And I do have the expansion and some promos, so another thing that I like in game is large stacks of cards. So this has large stacks of cards, so you don't always know what's going to come out, and you kind of just have to work with the types of farm things that you get. There's also a type of building that generates equipment, which are these little tiles you pull out of a bag, and they kind of hoses to make your water tower go farther, and that sort of thing. So I really like this game. I'm so sad that it's only 41, not 11. I feel like it's way too low. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Sounds really intriguing. It's one I have not played yet.
So this is actually a retheme of a space game called Among the Stars. Have you heard of Among the
I've
Stars?
heard of that. Haven't played that one either.
Okay, so that one doesn't make any sense to me because you're building like a space or something, but this one you're building a farm. I don't know, the theme makes more sense to me, but I know it's a similar game. And I just really enjoy that puzzle of putting the farm together and trying to get generating the resources to use them over here and then to use those over here. I don't know. That's something that I really enjoy. So
it sounds really intriguing.
Yeah, so if you like that sort of thing where you're, like thinking, okay, so if I place this card here and it generates this and it goes here and then that generates this, I don't know. That type of thing just really works for me. And unfortunately, it's by 41. Ugh, what did I do?
Yeah, unacceptable. Your list is invalidated.
I kind of feel that way.
All of the games are great on these lists.
I know.
So good.
I know. So yeah, that's it. 41 Fields of Green, and that ends the start of the top half of our list.
Yes.
The first part of the top half of our list. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Man.
So, we're 60 games in, and I still feel like we have so much games to talk about. Like, there's so many.
And it feels almost impossible, but they're going to even get better.
There's definitely some really great ones we've talked about, and some really great ones to come.
I know. They can't all be top 10, unfortunately, and that just some of these just.
So really, that was just 10 fourth removed, or number 1 fourth removed.
Yeah, that sounds like a good justification of why it's so low on my list. All right. Well, I think we've talked long enough at this point. Yeah, I guess that wraps this section up. Don't forget to go over to the Long Distance Gamers YouTube channel. Yep. Subscribe. Watch a couple of videos, especially the one that's about to drop right after this one.
Yeah.
It's going to be...
Which I'm sure you remember which one that was. It's one you haven't played.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that review. All right, well, thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one, everybody. Bye.